Good evening, world. Welcome to Saga 6 of the Carole story. Okay, well, tonight, we just happened to have gotten in the mail today Carole's diary. So, the next few sagas are going to be dedicated to Carole's diary. But first of all, let me promote some stuff here. Joe Exotic shirts, okay? All right, we have them online on Joe Exotic's Facebook. Hop on Joe Exotic's Facebook, help us out, buy a t-shirt, support the cause. On the back it says, United we stand so the animals don't fall. And don't forget my disclaimer, everything on here is an opinion of just me, okay? And it's on my YouTube site, so do not tie this to anyone else, all right? Now, on with the story. Excuse the glasses, I'm going blind from looking at your ugly ass. We're going to start tonight's saga out with the beginning of the diary. Okay, well, Carole was walking down the street, okay, a supposed prostitute in the wrong part of town, and a gentleman pulled over in a car and tried to get her in the car, and it starts out, "This man is going to kill me. I don't even care. I'd always been worried about not letting people touch me, especially around my throat. But I didn't flinch. He rubbed my shoulders, much to my surprise. Later, he took me to a cheap motel." Really? Did you expect the Holiday Inn? "Frequented by truckers and prostitutes." Go figure. He promised not to try anything, and I agreed to go. He barricaded the door, brushed his teeth, and was getting ready for bed. Not wanting to get anything started, I didn't undress. He assured me that he wouldn't look or touch, but I didn't believe him. He dug out his baggy pajamas and offered them to me. I felt ridiculous, but what was more comfortable in them? I fell in love with him then and there, in a cheap hotel, as a suspected prostitute, and yet no idea this man had a closet full of money. He was true to his word, and we did not have sex. I'd never been treated this way before. No one had ever cared about me without wanting something in return. I went home early that morning. Don let me out a couple blocks from my house at my request. Now, I wonder why that is, because Mama don't know you're a prostitute. I gave him my phone number. Within a half a block, a big ugly man in a station wagon with a shotgun ordered me in his car. Well, that's because he thought you were ready to go again. But anyway, I was still dancing on clouds and didn't know what to do. The big burly man pointed the gun at me and ordered me into the car. From behind the car, Don told me to run. He was on foot and he had his gun out. He told the man to move on and hollered at me again to run. The man in the car began to drive off, and I ran home. After that, Don and I began seeing each other once or twice a week. He called every day for hours at a time. I even knitted him a cushion for his earpiece on his phone. I loved him that much. He told me if I needed him in an emergency, I could call where he worked and ask Annie to go get Bob Martin. Okay, now I understand Bob Martin is a phony name here, people. I tried not to call unless I had to. He called me from home once, one weekend, using conversation to sound like a business call. I never heard anything such thing before, and I was terrified. I thought that he was being held for ransom and was scared to death. He couldn't give me a straight answer because there were others in the room, but he knew that he had scared me, and he called me back to assure me that he was okay. There was an old beat-up trailer on the lot where he worked, and this is where we got together. Really? I parked in a large store lot where Don would pick me up, and I laid on the floor until we drove in the back of the lot. Now, what kind of hussy has to hide on the floorboard of a car to drive to the back of the lot to have sex in an old trailer? Instead, just wait until the man got off work. I thought I was hiding from his boss, but come to find out he was married, okay? All right? Only one day I called Mary, answered the phone. Annie wasn't there, so I asked for Bob Martin. Mary acted confused and asked me to describe him. I said he was about 6 foot, blonde hair, blue eyes, and was the lot boy for Don Lewis. She began laughing and said, "No, one is here named Bob Martin, and that you just described Don Lewis." The next time I saw him, I asked him why he had not been truthful with me. He said he wanted to be loved for the man he was inside, and that women knew how rich he was, he would never know if they loved him for him or his money. In my case, he was sure that my move was pure because I loved him enough I believed him to be poor. It was a long time before that I knew just how rich and powerful he was. This past year was the closest I've come to knowing just how well off we were. It was a long time before I could get used to calling him Don instead of Bob. Okay, now we're going to jump around because I'm sure you don't want to hear about all the cats they bought, all the kittens they bred, and how many died because they didn't have any clue what the hell they were doing. Alright, so we're just going to skip around here in this diary. And there's going to be quite a few sagas because this is a pretty in-depth diary. But anyway, July the 9th. Okay, next weekend is Jamie's birthday. Here's where it starts to go to hell in a handbasket. But Don made plans for us to go to the Missouri auction tonight. Now, that would probably be the Macon, Missouri, correct? Where you buy all your animals. Alright? At Jamie's request, I took her and her friend Michael to the melting pot. When I came home, Don asked if we had gone out with Roy Persons. Now, why on earth would I go out with Roy to celebrate Jamie's birthday when he dislikes him even more than Don dislikes he dislikes Don? I didn't ask Don to come because last year when Mom made arrangements to have a boat dinner party for her birthday, Don made such a stink and he ruined it for all of us. He had the same thing on his birthday last year and again this year, so I had made up my mind. No matter what, he couldn't get the opportunity to make her and everyone else miserable. So why do I love him? Why do I love a man who alienates my daughter? Now, that's the same daughter that you made live in a ratty trailer shed out back behind your house with no heat and air at the age of 14 years old in the cat complex alone. My family, my acquaintances. Why do I love a man who works me to death and who takes all the glory for what I do? Why do I love a man who keeps me in tears and feeling so empty that I try to fill the void with food? Carole, are you saying you're a fat bitch or what? What is my sick need that I'm trying to fill with this venomous man? I've asked forever, but I still don't know. December the 24th. I told myself that this Christmas is just another day, and maybe with him gone, he wouldn't deliberately try to hurt my feelings. I pretended to myself that he hadn't already. Don had bought a 61-foot Comanche and a 68-foot Cardinal for me to train in. The Cardinal had a lot of problems, and after flying it twice, I decided to have it annulled and repaired. It had one cylinder cracked all the way through, and the cracks on the other three. The repair estimate was $3,500, and I authorized the work. Don came home from California and said he would have flown the Arrow himself, but he couldn't come to terms, price-wise, with the seller. I knew then that he was completely incapable of making competitive decisions. Against all of our agreements that he would not fly until properly licensed, nor would he even fly alone. He tells me that he intended to fly a strange plane all the way across this country in the dead of winter by himself. This man should be committed. I wanted to be safe and legal without the necessity of insulting my beloved. Apparently, I have made a bad decision if I believed that Don could see or appreciate the position I'm in. I asked him what he would have done if I had consulted him prior to doing what I had done, and he said he would have let Chuck do the work no matter what. He said it's all his money, and he is the only one who makes the decisions on how to spend it. I remind him that I work right along the side of him every day, and asked if he didn't give me the right to make such simple calls on a plane that he'd bought for me. He said that he had warned me that when I had Central Air installed in Jamie's trailer, that I would never spend another dime of his money without his consent. He said that it was the last straw, and that had allowed Jamie to subscribe to cable. We've had the argument 100 times, and he keeps forgetting that she pays for that herself. He threw one thing about the horses at me again, but he keeps forgetting that it was my efforts that repaid him every dime, and how he lost nearly $4 million to Pam. He said that he was leaving and wouldn't be back tonight. It's 9:30, and he came home, but he's not speaking. He said that's what he wants me and Jamie to get out of here because he doesn't want to worry about me spending his money. He accused of me of stealing $8,300 he lost a couple weeks ago. Well, did you? We want to know. Did you steal it right along with the $6 million in his bank account? It's just a question, girl. I've cried all afternoon. I've worked up a $126,000 deal for him. Learned how to send and receive faxes through a computer. Well, really, because you can't type. We've got that proof, all right? The typos, the misspelling. And you bitching about me online, girl? Okay, I admit I can't do shit, all right? I'm having trouble reading your crap. But anyway, she cried all afternoon after working up under a $26,000 deal for him. Learned how to send faxes and receives through a computer. Trimmed all the roses, cut away the grass and weeds that are choking the plants that accent his several pins, and fed all the animals. I didn't lash back, but again resigned myself to wait out his evil temper. I listened while he told me that all of his money is his, and that everything we would have he earned by himself and brought into this marriage by himself. He said there's nothing I do for him that he couldn't pay a flunky $350 a week. Okay? You're a flunky, Carole. Right? $350 a week, a flunky. All right? He said that he doesn't trust me and he doesn't want to live with me anymore, and that he will furnish me with a place to move out to and give me $500 a week to live on. How generous. I'd have took $500. I'm still crying, so I guess I still care. I'd love so much to die. I'm not even going to comment on that one. And not hurt anymore. But I've got Jamie, and she would have no one if I died. It's no use to leave him. I'd only come back. That's what crack addicts do. He's all I've never known, and he's the only man I've ever loved. I hope Jamie never finds herself in such a sick and perverted relationship. I wish there was some way out for me. Okay, now, I skipped all the way to the end of that, okay, for Saga 1, her diary here, which is going to take several nights to get through. But I'd say she found a way out. Wouldn't you? Where's gone? Have a good night. I ain't got nothing better to do than fuck with you.